Hello. Today I have something a little different. I'm not showing any code today. I do have some code on the screen here, but this is just to demonstrate what I'm talking about. I often say how I create the MQ4 file showing here and the MQ5 file and then an MQH so that I can have all the common code in one place. And then I will switch between Metatrader 4 and 5 and compile the 4 or the 5 version. And I get questions every now and then from people asking how I'm copying the files, the MQH files, to keep them synchronized between Metatrader 4 and 5, or how I can manage to do this and have the same files in two places. So this is a quick demonstration of how I have this set up. Now there is more than one way to do this, and in fact over time I have used different techniques, but this is the technique I've settled on at the moment, and this is what works for me now. Just a little demonstration. I've got from a recent video, I have the MA cross with trailing stop. I've got the MQ4, the MQ5 and the MQH file all open here. This on the left is the Metatrader 4 editor, and on the right is the Metatrader 5 editor, and I have the same files open here. You can see if you look at the navigator that the MQL5 has advisors and examples. Those are folders that are installed on Metatrader 5 with example code that don't exist on Metatrader 4. And if we look on the Metatrader 4 side, I have this MACD sample and moving average.mq4. Those are also files that are installed with Metatrader 4, but they are installed in a different place on Metatrader 5. So you don't see these two files in the navigator here. They're actually under examples. So what I'm seeing here is a combination of my Orchard folder, which is the same between both Metatrader 4 and 5, and the files that are supplied by Metatrader, which exist in experts or indicators or scripts and so on, that are actually different between Metatrader 4 and 5. This MA cross with TS, for example, is exactly the same file as this file. Now, you do have to be careful when you're doing this because I've got them both open at the same time, and if I change one, then it really depends the order that I close them as to which of these files wins out. So you can't really edit them both at the same time, but you can have one file that is available in both Metatrader 4 and 5. And just to demonstrate that, so I'll keep the Metatrader 5 editor open, but I'm just going to close this one file in Metatrader 4 because I don't want to have a problem where I overwrite changes from one or the other. And I'm just going to make a random edit here. And then if I save that, and now I go back to the Metatrader 4 editor and I open that same file again, and you can see exactly the same has been entered here. So this is the same file. It's not a copy. I don't have a background process running that's copying this file from one place to another. This is the same file that is available in both Metatrader 4 and 5. So that's the example of what I'm going to achieve. I'm going to show you now from beginning to end exactly how I do this and set up my Metatrader 4 and 5. Here I am with the Windows desktop open, and I typically work, this is my demonstration machine. I will typically use this Orchard demo, and you can see that in here I have Metatrader 4 and Metatrader 5 and an MQL folder. So if we go back here, I've set up an empty folder here called demo, and I'll take you through from beginning to end. I do not typically install my Metatrader under program files, which is where it would be normally installed by the Metatrader installer, because I have several versions of this. So I'll have, well, here on this machine, for example, I have one where I'll be setting up code in preparation for running the tutorials, and then I'll move the code across to the tutorials folder. So I have a separate folder for each of those. I'll have one where I run testing. Sometimes I have special projects where I open up a specific Metatrader just to run these special projects. So what I have here, I've actually created a folder, C user Metatrader, and this is where I put all of my Metatrader installations. But inside each of these installations, I have Metatrader 4 and 5 and the common code. So let's go through in this demo folder. First thing I'm going to do in here is create a Metatrader 4 and a Metatrader 5 folder. All right, now that I have each of these, and these are just empty folders, you may want to simply run the installer on Metatrader. And let me go back to my installers. So I've opened up another copy of Explorer here on the right, and I have the installers for Metatrader 4 and 5. So just to show how this runs, if I open the Metatrader 4 installer, typically you would simply click next, but if you do that, it will simply take you through the default installation. I usually click settings, and this is where I change the installation folder. So I can change this to be this Metatrader 4 folder. I'll just enter the folder there, click in the title bar, Control C for copy, and then back here and Control V for paste, and that will paste into this folder. I won't run this because I don't actually want to install this way, but this is how you might do it if you don't have Metatrader 4 already installed somewhere and you've just downloaded the installer from your broker and you want to run it. So that will install into this Metatrader 4 folder. And then the Metatrader 5 setup is the same. You go to settings and then you can paste the path in here. If you don't change that path, then you'll get the default path, or if you simply click next. So I'm just going to close that one because I don't want to run those installations. I'm going to show you a small trick now. So if I'm here in demo, I have the MT4 and the MT5. Nothing in either of those. But I already have, as you've seen, Metatrader installed. Let me go back here in my Orchard demo. So if I go to the demo where I'm showing you how to do this installation, here on the right hand side, I'm going to go to the Orchard demo where I have everything installed. What you can do, so I've just gone into Metatrader 4 here to begin with. There are 3 files here, MetaEditor, Terminal, and terminal.ico. I'm just going to copy those 3 files. And now if I go into the Metatrader 5, go back here and into the MT5 here, there are actually 4 files for Metatrader 5. There's MetaEditor 64, Tester 64, ICO, and the Terminal 64. And I'll copy those. Now again, with the magic of having 2 windows here open, I'm just going to go back a step. So now here I am in the demo folder on the right, and on the left I'm still in the MT5 folder. I'm just going to right click and drag that across and create a shortcut. And then I'm going to go into the Metatrader 4 as well. And I'm going to right click and drag terminal there and create a shortcut. So now I have terminal exe shortcut and terminal 64 exe shortcut, and these are to Metatrader 4 and 5. I'm going to change both of these. I'm just going to call that one MT4 and I'll call that MT5. Now I'm going to change the properties on each of these shortcuts. So here, the first thing I want to do is add /portable. If you have opened up Metatrader and gone to the files folder from there, you'll note that it is in your app data and the folder name is a lengthy string that's actually created by a hashing algorithm based on where your original Metatrader is installed. That's typically because if you follow the installation, Metatrader 4 is installed, or Metatrader 4 or 5 are installed under program files. And for security reasons, Microsoft recommends not having data files in that location. So in response to that, Metatrader came up with the technique of creating this hashed folder name and putting all of the data files there. It's not a bad idea. I don't disagree with it, but it doesn't work well for me, particularly because I don't install my Metatrader in program files. I install it somewhere else. So I like to keep all of my data files with my Metatrader. And by adding that /portable flag to the startup command, that will make Metatrader put all of those files inside the same folder where the Metatrader executables are. And you'll see that in a minute. Now I shouldn't have closed that up straight away because I also want to change the icon. When you create a shortcut, it doesn't necessarily pick up the icon. You can see the icon here is a separate file. What it has done is pick up the default icon out of the Metatrader executable, the terminal.exe file. I'm going to change that and just pick up this terminal.ico file And that's because those files are supplied by the broker. Each broker has their own icon. Although Metatrader is basically the same application for each broker, they all have their own icons. So I'm just changing the icon there. I'll make the same changes in Metatrader 5. /portable, change the icon, browse, and in this case the broker actually supplies exactly the same icon for Metatrader 4 or 5. But there. So now I have an MT4 and an MT5 shortcut. Inside the MT4 folder, I just have those 3 files that I copied. Inside the MT5 folder, I just have those 4 files. And now here's the trick. If I simply start Metatrader 4 from there, you can see here in the left where I'm inside the Metatrader 4 folder, all these files have been created now. No installation required, just these 3 files. And by simply running Metatrader 4, and it will take a few more seconds to finish downloading the latest update from MetaQuotes. And now Metatrader 4 is up and running. I'm not going to go through, I'm just going to cancel those. But here you would either open an account or log into your existing trade account. So that's my Metatrader 4 installed. Metatrader 5 operates exactly the same way. You can see now that files are being created in here. And there is my Metatrader 5 installation. And with Metatrader 5, if you don't already have an account, MetaQuotes will automatically create one for you here under the MetaQuotes demo server. So that's up and running as well. Close that. Now what we can see here, I'll stay in the MQL5. Underneath MQL5 I have experts, files, images, and so on, all of these folders. So far all I've taken you through is installing fresh copies of Metatrader 4 and 5. And because I have these 2 shortcuts, I can copy these onto the start menu if I want to, but they also allow me to simply start up Metatrader 4 or 5 with that /portable flag, so that all of the data files that I maintain are going to be inside these MT4 and MT5. Now here's the part where I create common files. I'll create a new folder, and I'm just going to call this MQL. And inside MQL, I'm not going to create everything, but I will create another new folder that I will call Orchard. And inside Orchard, I'm going to create a new folder that I'll call Experts, and I'll create one for indicators as well. And what I'm going to do now is create symbolic links between the MT5 experts, and I'm going to create a symbolic link here to Orchard experts, and I'm going to create the same under indicators on MQL5, and then I'm going to do it on Metatrader 4 as well. Now typically if you have a folder like this, you can't easily get into the command prompt on that folder. You can simply go command prompt, right click here and run as administrator. Running as administrator is important because I'm about to create symbolic links, and depending on how you have the security set up on your computer, by default a standard user doesn't have access to execute the command to create symbolic links. So you run this as administrator and you will have that permission. I'm not going to do that because if I do run as administrator, I get dumped here in system 32 and now I have to navigate to another folder. It also means that I have to type everything in manually in one place. What I'm going to do instead is go back to this demo folder. I'm just going to create a batch file. And that's a new text document. I'll call it make links, and I'm just going to change the extension, which was by default txt. I'm going to change that to BAT. And I get this prompt, do I want to change the extension? And I'll say yes. Now, if you don't see this .bat or the .txt when you first created the file, the default installation for Windows is to hide those extensions from files. So just go to the View menu, and you can see here there's a checkbox for file name extensions. If I turn that off, which is the default, then this simply says make links. And if I now try to create a text file, new text document, I can change that name, but I can't change the extension. It simply doesn't exist. So you need to turn this file name extensions on, and then you can see that txt and change it. So now I have this makelinks.bat file, and I'm simply going to edit into that and put all of the commands to set up the symbolic links between the MT4 and the MQL and the MT5 and the MQL. I simply right click there, edit, and that should bring up Notepad as the default editor for a bat file. The first command I'm going to put in here is a cd command. I'm just going to copy that path from Explorer, paste in here. The reason I'm doing that is because when I run this makelinks.bat, as I mentioned, you need to be administrator to execute the makelinks, so the bat file needs to run as administrator. If I just right click on this, you'll see there's an option here to run as administrator. If you do that, just like with the command prompt, it begins in the System32 folder. So I want to move back to this demo folder before I execute these commands. Now, just in case you have this on a different drive to your Windows drive, so my Windows is installed on drive C and I'm also on drive C here, a cd command like that won't work. You would have to add a C: command first to move to drive C, and then you can perform the cd command. So now with that, I need to add the makelink command. And the command for that is mklink /d, because I'm creating a directory link. And now the name of the link that I want to create. And this will be inside the MT4 folder. I'll begin with, MT4, MQL4, Experts Orchard. Let me just go over to this window for a moment. This is inside the MQL folder already. If I go back to demo, MT4, you'll see there I have MQL4, and this is where the experts folder has been created with the examples that are downloaded from Metatrader. And in here I want to create a link to the Orchard folder. So I want to create Orchard in here. And the next argument is the name of the folder that I'm linking to. And you'll notice I haven't included any quotation marks here because I don't have any spaces. But if you do have spaces in this path or in the next path, you'll need to put quotation marks around that. In fact, I'll do it here because it doesn't hurt. Quote MT4. And from this folder, I want to link to, let me go back and do it over here. I want to link to MQL Orchard Experts. And that will create a single link between Experts Orchard to MQL Orchard Experts. Now, if you didn't want to have this change of directory at the beginning, you could simply put the entire path name in here. And you could do that just by going here and copy that. And then I can simply insert it there. And I can do the same on the left-hand side by doing the copy from, I could dive down into MT4, MQL4 experts. I don't already have the Orchard here, so I can just copy that. And I would still need to just replace this part of the path. And if I do that, I don't need these commands, and I'll just add a pause at the end. Now, that only gives me one link. I need to repeat this for the MT5, and I'll also want to repeat it because I have also indicators here. Let's just begin with the MT5, and that's simply, I can just copy that, and this is one of the reasons I use the bat file. I can simply copy that and make a simple change to this command because it is now MT5, MQL5. And then I can copy both of these lines and do the same for indicators. Now if I just save that file, back over here I will go back up to my demo folder. And I have the makelinks.bat. Remember to run this as administrator. There we are at the pause, symbolic links created. I can close that now, and if I go into the MT5 folder, MQL5 experts, here I have Orchard, and I have this nice little icon showing me that this is a symbolic link. If I go to indicators, I also have that, and I have the same in Metatrader 4, MQL4 experts, Orchard, and MQL4 indicators, Orchard. Now, if I simply go into, for example, the experts folder, and I create a new text document, and I'm going to call this sample dot, and I'll name this MQH. It has nothing in it, but I've just created an MQH file there. I go back to the demo folder where I have links to start up MT4 or MT5. I'll start MT4 first. If I go to the meta editor, under experts, Orchard, you can see I have sample.mqh. Close that, and now I start MT5. Open the IDE, experts, Orchard, sample.mqh. And so that's it. I have a complete Metatrader 4 and Metatrader 5 installation, each of those sharing files in this MQL folder under Orchard, experts, indicators, and you can then add scripts or anything else that you want to have common. But each of these, you'll note, also has access to, if I go into Metatrader 5, all of these files and folders that are created by MetaQuotes. So you still have the custom files that are delivered with each version showing up under the editor for that version, but then you also have inside your own personal folder files that you want to have common between the two. You do have to switch between editors if you want to compile, so you can't correctly compile Metatrader 4 code with the Metatrader 5 editor and the other way around, so you do need both editors still. But it does mean that if you have some shared code that you know works in both Metatrader 4 and 5, you can have a single file and edit everything in a single place. If you're going to be doing this on a regular basis, and just scroll back up, let me just go to there, Metatrader. I typically have a folder which I've called .tutorial template here. This already has the MT4 and the MT5 installed with the files. And all I have to do is copy that folder, rename it as I make a new installation, and then just go through the rest of the steps to create the links. And I will also normally set up that bat file so that the links inside there are relative, and that way I can include that in this template folder and just run it each time, and it simply works. So that is it. That is how I set this up. Like I said, there are different ways you can do it. You can change the folder structure, you can change the pathing that you use, but this is what I do currently, and it means that I can have not just Orchard here in my MQL folder, but if I have some work that I'm doing perhaps for multiple clients, I can give each one their own folder in here, and then I can link them each from the Metatrader 4 and the Metatrader 5 if I want to. So, as I said, no code today, just how do I set this up. I hope this has been useful to you. If it has, leave a comment, click the like button, and if you want to see more of our videos, then click subscribe and click the bell icon, and you'll be notified when we release new videos. Till next time, thank you for watching.